Good morning, everybody. I'm so very honored to be here. I'm going to talk to you today about how I got unstuck in my life and in my business. I'm going to start out with a little bit of my history and story, and then I'm going to give you all the details of what I did to get unstuck and how we hit diamond with about almost 100,000 OGV growth in 1 month. So I'm going to give you all those details. I also have a landing page for you where I've listed some resources, so take notes if you want, but I have some resources for you. Hi, Kelly. Oh, hi, Dar. Thank you, guys. I'm kind of nervous, so pray for me today. I've been dousing myself in oils, so I've used frankincense already and the Gift. The Gift is one of my favorite Young Living oils. So if you don't have this oil, I hope you'll get it after today. I love it and use it a lot. And we're going to talk a lot about your gift and how to learn how to give that gift away. So my name is Edie Wadsworth, by the way. I guess I should introduce myself. I am a family doctor on probably permanent sabbatical. I haven't worked at my job as a physician in almost 10 years. I left that job to be home with my kids and homeschool my girls, and so it's been a long, interesting journey. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited. Really honored to be here. I want to start out with a little bit of my story. So just be patient. We're going to get to all the numbers and the nitty-gritty good stuff, but I want to start a little bit from the beginning. So, and I have a lot of notes, so I'm going to use my notes today so I don't leave anything out. When I was 5 years old, I sat in the back of an old white Plymouth and watched the trailer burn to the ground. A fire, they say, my daddy started. When I was 7 years old, I stood in the crook of Brown's Mountain and watched my cousin be arrested for armed robbery with helicopters and police cars and the images of those angry police officers imprinted in my mind. And then I would spend the next few years visiting my cousin in prison, a place that we visited on weekends with the guard shacks and the fences and the tattoos of the prisoners. When I was 11, I went to a beer joint with my daddy. Daddy liked to drink. A place that I knew like the back of my hand from all the Friday nights that I had spent there. Daddy had had too much whiskey, and I had a hard time getting him out of the beer joint that night. I was 11 years old and helped him drive the stick shift truck all the way back up to Mama's trailer. When I was 12 years old, I made the all-star team in my softball league. And on the final night of our game, Daddy finally showed up to the game, except that he was drunk and came with some of his tattooed friends and yelled from the bleachers. When I was 17 years old, I was nominated for Homecoming Queen, an unlikely place to find a poor girl who had been raised in a trailer park. For all of the faults that my daddy had, he had always been my person, and I just was praying that he would show up to the football game and that he would be sober and that he would have a shirt on. Daddy taught me all the lyrics to Folsom Prison Blues before I learned my multiplication tables. And he was always finding a reason to break into flatfoot dancing at the least provocation. When he was sober, he was the kindest, most generous man I ever knew. He had the best sense of humor. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and the background that I was raised in gave me this insatiable drive to succeed and to find a better way of life than the life that I had been given. So I found myself in medical school. And when I was 27 years old, in my third year of medical school, I got a call on a Sunday night that Daddy probably wouldn't make it through the night. He had been diagnosed with end-stage lung cancer with mets to his liver and liver failure. So I made the 2-hour drive from where I was in medical school to where Daddy was staying in Knoxville with his sister. 20 minutes after I walked through the door, he died in my arms. And I finally, after 27 years of pretending to be fine, I finally fell apart. And my journey of healing has been very long and very difficult. When I found Young Living, I was in the middle of writing a very difficult book about Daddy and me. And little did I know that what God was bringing into my life was not just a box of oils, but a whole tribe of friends and a means to the kind of wholeness and healing that I never thought would be possible. Why do I start a business talk with tears and by telling you all of that? Well, I start it like that because I want to illustrate to you how important your story is to your life and to your business. And if I had just come on here and said, hey, I hit diamond last month and let me show you how I did it, it wouldn't mean the same. But when you know a portion, a little part of my story, it helps us identify with each other. It helps us know that despite what we've all been through, which is also different, we're actually all so much the same. We come to this business with a heart full of stories, sometimes hurt and woundedness, with all these different gifts that God has given us, and we're all on such a similar journey. Our stories actually earn us the right to speak into somebody else's life. And nowhere do I think this is illustrated more than when God wanted to ransom the world and save the world. He didn't do it with a list of things or a list of rules. He did it with a long and beautiful story of our grand and glorious redemption. And I just want to inspire you that when you're trying to build a life and a business, your story is so, so important. It's important to share with your family, with your friends. It's important to acknowledge for yourself and your own healing. And so important when you're trying to inspire and lead a team. For so long, I was ashamed of my story. Ashamed of where I came from, ashamed to share, hoping at all cost to escape the places where I have come from. And I realized in the last few years, and I hope I can communicate to you, that our stories are where our power is. And it's not, if you think of the, 5 or 6 important events in your life, maybe for me it was like the night I hit home, or the night I was voted homecoming queen and Daddy finally showed up sober. When I think of all the highlights of my life, I realized after writing my book that the most powerful part of my story came from my struggle, came from the heartache, came from the wounds. Those are the things that other people can identify with and resonate with. Those are the things that are life-changing for all of us. And I think when we finally become brave and comfortable enough to share our real selves with the people in our lives, the people in our families, the people we're building a business with, amazing, amazing things will happen. It's funny because when we hit diamond last month, our highest OGV had been $174,000. We weren't even on the radar to get close. Sorry. And such an unlikely story. We had never been anywhere near close. And us getting, making up $100,000 in 1 month is amazing. And I'm going to tell you how we did it. And it's so much fun to talk about it. But you might not be able to identify with that yet. You might feel like I felt for a long time, kind of stuck in your business. And what I know that is if I can really share my heart and share where I'm coming from, you can identify with that more. You can identify with being lost or wounded or rejected or stuck. And I think that we often think that people want us to present the shiniest, best parts of ourselves. And really what they want is just to know that we're with them and that we're human and that we identify with where they are. I would venture to say that the truest power in your life comes from your struggle. And learning how to share that with the people in your life will be such an amazing gift. It'll be an amazing gift to yourself because you will finally find the healing that you need in order to move forward. And it will be an amazing gift for your family, your friends, your team, the people that you're doing Young Living with and building your business with. They will be able to identify with you in a way that nothing else would let them identify with you. They will be drawn to the real and raw joy that you have in your life that only comes from being true and vulnerable and honest. Again, I feel like we should learn this. I don't know why it took me so long in my own life to learn it, because that's how God draws us into himself, with his story, with the story of redemption, the story of the Israelites, this long, convoluted history of theirs where there's so much hurt and waywardness and wondering, and we wonder, are they ever going to get it right? And then then we're ashamed of our own stories and our own struggles. And I feel like so much of my journey with Young Living has been a journey of my own healing, so that then I can offer to take people on a journey with me where we're going to this place of healing and wholeness in our hearts and in our emotions and all of that. My journey to oils has been weird, like everything else in my life. When I first got out of medical school, I worked for about 6 years as a family doctor. I was trained as an allopathic physician, so regular MD, but I always had this weird bent toward natural health. I was always trying to get people off their medicine and help them make lifestyle change. I always had this sort of weird, maybe you could say, suspicion about all the things that were going on in modern health. But I didn't know about oils, and so I didn't have any good way to make sense of it. When I gave up my practice to be home with my kids, I started a blog. I had always been a writer, so I started a blog. I just blogged about my family, basically a lifestyle and faith blog. I was blogging about my faith journey. Little did I know that God would use those relationships that I built back then to really, to basically give me an amazing, beautiful business with people that I love. But I feel like the journey started a long time ago. After I'd been home for a while, my beautiful and amazing friend Darlene introduced me to oils, and honestly, I bought the kit to shut her up. No offense, Dar, I love you. She kept saying, oh, I know you're going to be so interested because you love natural health and all of that. I bought the kit in 2013. I hid it away in my china cabinet like you would hide like narcotics that you get from the dentist office. I was so afraid of it. I felt for 100% for sure that it was the weirdest thing I had ever spent money on. But I was curious because every time I would take the little bottles out, they would work. And so I started reading and researching. It's almost like I felt like I went back to medical school again, except reading all about natural health. But I wasn't really using the oils like you're supposed to use them. So I let my account go inactive. So if you have people on your team whose accounts have gone inactive, don't give up. You could have a diamond in the rough. So I let my account go inactive, and then I went to a blogging conference where all these girls were using oils and so excited about oils and talking about how much they had made a difference in their life and how they were doing it as a business. And I thought to myself, I have those weird oils at home in my china cabinet. And so then I decided, there's got to be something to this. I trust these people. They're amazing, wonderful friends. There's got to be something to it. And so I dove in. I basically started dabbling in the business the last week of October of 2014. I hit silver in January. I hit gold in March of 2015, and then I sat at gold for a year and a half. So really what I want to talk to you about is that period of being stuck, because I know it's so easy for us to get stuck. I had amazing growth really fast, and then I sat at the same rank for a long time. Now, on the outside, you could look at those 18 months and go, what the heck was she doing? She had all this amazing growth at first, and then she stayed basically at the same place for a long time. which is true if you look on the outside. But what God was doing in my heart, now that's another story altogether. I was finishing my book. I was writing about painful memories. I was going through one of the darkest times of my life, and only by the grace of God did I have our amazing oils to help me through such a difficult time. I used the feelings kit like crazy. I would take frankincense and just like dab it down my shirt, driving down the highway, thinking of things I had been writing about. And it was really, really an incredible journey of my own healing for those 18 months. My book came out in September of 2016, and sharing a difficult story like that publicly really about broke me. I'm not sure I would have gotten through it without good friends and Jesus and oils. But in October of 2016, I decided, like, okay, I'm back to oils. I've got to do something with this business. You know, I've got to make this happen. But I think it's easy to dismiss that period of time and say, well, you know, whatever, I don't know what you were doing. Why weren't you growing? But what I want to hopefully inspire you with is that if you're in a season of being stuck, where it looks like you're stuck, where other people say, gosh, why haven't you, whatever. I hope that what you will do during those periods of time, because we all go through seasons, is let God do what he needs to do in your heart. Because when we find wholeness and healing, then we're free to give that away to other people. And I was not ready to do that because I wasn't there myself. I needed to work through all the junk I worked through. And for some of you, that might not be childhood trauma. That might be you just had a new baby, or it might be you're going through a difficult time in your marriage, or it might be a million other things. But we're all kind of on our own journey. And I think you have to let God do what he's doing in your heart and be willing to submit to the process. For me, that was submitting to some really difficult things and letting him work in me and letting him get to the hard places and letting him heal me so that I could be ready then to give that away to other people. I will tell you this though, when I decided, like, okay, I haven't really had the mental or emotional capacity to focus on this. When I finally decided it was time, things began to change like crazy. And I think if you're looking at your own business, you probably see this too. The times when you're laser focused, things change and they move and you grow and you attract the right people. And we've got to all be okay with the seasons of life we're in. Is this a season of life where you can really do that? And so in October, I decided, like, okay, I'm feeling so much better. This is a season of life where I can really devote to this and do this. And honestly, I have been so blessed and so excited about what God's done in my own life through these oils, through the relationships, that I can't shut up about it. I can't help but want it for other people. When I first started with Young Living, I was so excited about the product. Obviously, I wanted to share the product with everybody. Everybody should have oils. So I was passionate about sharing the product, but I hadn't caught the vision for the business. I hadn't really seen, like, wow, this can happen for anybody who really pours their heart and soul into it. And I began to see that in October, and I realized what a bad leader I had been. I had been basically building a team with no duplication. I had been teaching the classes. I had been doing all the things, and I hadn't taught people how to want what I was getting. I hadn't shown them what a blessing the business side of this had been to me. And I began to do that, and I'm telling you, it has been unbelievable the last few months what has happened in our team. So in October, when I really dove back in, I joined a Facebook group called the Happy Hangout. I had joined it before that, but I really began, to pay attention to all the stuff they were doing. I think that is a great group for some ideas. If you need to get unstuck and you haven't been a part of that group, that might help. It really helped me for a time. So I began to just dive in and really try to foster community in my leadership. So that was in October. That's when we hit platinum. And then in November, I was going to give you my OGV. I have this listed on my blog so you can kind of look through and see where our OGV was. In October, our OGV was around 110. We hit platinum that month. And then in November, I think we got to 134. In December, we had a little bit of a dip because I basically took most of December off. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what we're doing. You can do this at your own pace. I love my family. I want them to come first. I wanted to be home and available during the holidays, so I took most of December off, and it's just the amazing beauty of what we do. If you need to take time off, you take time off. There's no guilt in that or shame in that. But when I came back in January, we started January off with a bang. So I had a meeting with my leaders in January. It was, I will remember that night forever. I told a story from my childhood that night. We were setting goals. It was a goal-setting workshop. And I told a story that night of when I was younger and I was trying out for cheerleading. I had been naturally athletically gifted. At the time, my mom was a single mom and she couldn't afford to put me into gymnastics, but a lot of my friends took gymnastics, and so I would watch all my friends do all their tumbling, and I basically taught myself how to tumble, and I would spend all of recess asking my little friends to teach me what they were learning at gymnastics, and I would go home and practice for hours and hours and hours, and I could tumble. I got to the point, probably just from practicing so much, where I was better than the girls that were teaching me how to tumble. And so I tried out for cheerleading, and I was just so sure I was going to make it, and I could do all this tumbling that nobody else could do. And when it came time for the tryouts, I didn't make it. And the parents and my other friends kind of made a big stink about it. Like, oh my gosh, why didn't she make it? She's the only one who can tumble. And they all basically went to bat for me. And my mom knew what was going on. They hadn't picked me because I was not from the right side of the tracks. And the devastation that did to my little girl heart has been something that I have been working through my whole life. You know, you have those events that just stay with you forever. You feel that rejection. You feel that, I'm not good enough. And I remember making a pact with myself. I'm going to be so good that they can't tell me no. I kind of made this pact that I was going to be so driven, that I'm going to work so hard. And that pact that I made with my little girl self it's been both a double-edged sword. It's been a blessing in my life at times, but it's also been something that I've always dealt with, that feeling of not being quite good enough, that I've got to strive and work, and it's been kind of actually a stumbling block in my faith, because it's made me always feel like I have to earn something from God, and it's just been a difficult time. And I shared that with my team. I'd never shared that story before. That story wasn't even in my book. And I shared it with my team because I felt like, when you're on the brink of doing something like this business, where there can be amazing success if you just work and you hustle and you do this, I think there's the temptation there to, when that works, to taking all the credit for ourselves, and then when that doesn't work, it can put us in a weird place. And I didn't want my team to fall into that trap. I wanted myself and I wanted us all to realize that yes, hard work is awesome, and we all should do that. We all should use our time wisely and be hard workers, but for what end? And I think what I've realized with my Young Living business is a couple of things. One thing is this: the reason God has placed me here is not so I can be some shiny diamond in the Young Living sense. It's so that God can do something amazing in my heart, so that He can perfect me and make me a diamond in my heart, so that He can do a work of sanctification in me that maybe nothing else can do. I can tell you that I've been challenged in ways since I've been doing this business in no other way. It's such a sanctifying process if we submit ourselves to it. And if we realize that the reason we're here, the reason we've been given this unbelievable opportunity, the reason we've been given this amazing healing is so we can give it away to other people. And I feel like I'm so stubborn-headed sometimes, and I get the message, but then I just want to take all control of it myself and, and do it myself and try harder and all of that. But we have to keep remembering that this is for others, and that the reason we've been brought to this place is so that we can be a blessing to other people. So in January, after that amazing goal-setting workshop, we did Sarah Harnish's boot camp together. Our team did. We had a pretty small team of builders at that time. It's exploded in the last couple of months, but at that time we had a pretty small team of builders. We did Sarah Harnish's game plan boot camp together. It was a great time of, I'm a blue personality, so I love her like red. Here's what you do, and here's what you do next, and here's what you do next. So we did her boot camp in January. We saw incredible growth in our OGV. In February, we got to 174,000. We ran her boot camp as leaders ourselves. So we basically took her videos and took the book and made our own team boot camp. We got to 174,000 that month. So going into March, we had incredible, incredible momentum. I kind of thought to myself like, oh my word, we could get close to diamond. Darlene and I talked about it back and forth. About halfway through the month, I think Alyssa sent a message and said, oh my word, Edie's like on track for diamond. But I still didn't believe it. There was still a part of me that deals with this poverty mindset so much, that feels like, it's always for someone else. It's always going to work out for someone else, but it's not probably going to work out for me. This little demon in my head. And I kind of remember halfway through the month, like sort of, throwing up my hands and saying, you know what, Lord, if this is what you have for us, you're going to have to do it, because I don't see any way we can do it. I mean, yeah, we've got great OGV, but there's no way that's going to last through the month. So I basically just sort of turned it over to him. We were running a lot of team promos, so we did have a lot of amazing momentum. I was doing a lot of teaching in our group. I love our products so much. I spend the bulk of my time actually teaching about our products. And so people were trying stuff and getting on ER. We got to the last week of March. We were still on target to possibly hit diamond by the end of the month. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So we ran 4 amazing promos. We gave away an Aroma Complete for anybody who placed a $300 order in that last week. We gave away an Aria, rose oil. We did a lot of giveaways. I basically said, okay, Lord, if you're going to do this, I'm willing to, give what I can give. So we ran some amazingly generous giveaways. And on Thursday, the 30th of March, I got on the cruise, the Global Leadership Cruise, and probably an hour, maybe hour and a half after I got on the boat, we found out we hit diamond. It was amazing. It's so incredible, like pinch me incredible. But you have to know that somebody with my background, those amazing good things always come with doubts and questions and Lord, what are you doing here? I'm just a little girl from who grew up in poverty and in Appalachia, and you always feel like there's something about you that is not going to get there or doesn't deserve it. And I have to say that when we feel like that, we are focusing on ourselves. And when we can learn how, and I'm still learning, how to turn that focus always to other people, how can we use what God has given us? The platform, the income, the time. We have those of us who do this full time, we have such time freedom. How can I use all these amazing gifts that God has given me to turn around and focus that on somebody else and bless somebody else? I want to tell you some really specific things that we did. Basically, 3 ways that I got unstuck in my year and a half being stuck at a rank. It was amazing, and I don't look back at it and wish that it were any different. I know that it was all in God's timing. I know that He needed to heal my heart before He could let me turn around and really completely focus on other people. So it's all in His time. I'm so thankful for it. But let me just say that the first thing that I think you need to really think about is your own healing, your own journey. We all come to this with hearts full of stories and wounds and lies that we believe about who we are and what we're created to do. And ultimately, God wants to use this journey to heal you. He wants to make us whole. He wants to restore what the locusts have eaten. He wants to give us back what's been taken away from us. And I don't think that you should underestimate your own healing. This needs to be a journey for you of wholeness for yourself and for your family. And I don't think that we can I don't think that we can jump into this and just want the business to work out without ignoring our own heart and our own situation and how God wants to work it in us first. What He was doing in me in those 18 months where it looked like I was stuck was amazing things. He was giving me amazing gifts. It didn't look like much on the outside, but He was healing my broken heart. And so don't despise the day. Don't despise the season where He's working something in you where the numbers don't show it, where the rank advancement doesn't show it. He's doing something in your own life and in your own heart that He needs this business to do. And then I feel like He exposed so many things in me, doubt and fear and insecurity, that He needed to dig out and expose so that I could be a better leader, so that I could finally focus on people. I feel like so much of our lack of confidence and our insecurity as leaders and as sharers is because we're so focused on ourselves. We haven't completely been healed ourselves, and we need that wholeness so that we can lead others and serve them and bless them and really focus on them. So don't take for granted what He needs to do in you, in your heart, first. The second thing is that I think we have to learn to share our stories with generosity. For so much of my life, I hid my story. And I realized in writing about my life that the greatest gift God gave me was that story. And it's the most powerful thing He's done in my own heart, is use that heartache as a place of redemption. And I want to continue to share it with generosity. I want to be generous with sharing my struggle, with sharing my wounds, with sharing from where He's brought me and how He's done such miraculous things in my life. And I think we have to be generous with our stories, being willing to share the hard things, because that's how other people can really identify with us. So if you're not doing that, you should. And if you're not doing it on live video, you should, because people can see. They can see in your eyes. They can see in your expression how you really feel. If you're not doing live video in your group, I'm sure most of you are, but really learning to share the things that really matter with your people, letting them into your heart, letting them into your life, letting them see your struggle, being authentic and real with them. I think when we learn to do that, it really makes a huge difference. One of the things that I started doing, part of it was because of the Happy Hangout, was just sharing commissions, just being vulnerable enough to share our income with our team. It has inspired so many people. They think we make an extra $50 or $100 a month for doing this. No, unless we share with them, they think that those numbers on the income disclosure, are just a pipe dream. It's not a pipe dream. Everybody on my team at those different ranks are experiencing unbelievable blessings from God. And without us sharing our hearts and our story and why that income is a blessing and why the freedom that we have has so changed our lives and been a blessing, and our team will really be blessed by that. So I think that's been important, just being vulnerable and really sharing ourselves. The third thing that I think has really helped me get unstuck is to live my life and run my business from a place of love and not fear. So often what we do from fear. I should post because we need an OGV boost, and we do it kind of halfways out of fear. Well, I should do this because if I do this, then I'll get to the next rank, and then everybody won't wonder why I'm stuck at this rank. You know, we do things so often out of fear. And I want to live my life from a place of love. People know when we're doing things out of fear. They can sense it. So before I post, before I do a live video, before I got on here today, am I doing this from a place of love or fear? And if it's fear, then I need to work that out within myself. I need to use more oil. I need to, I need to talk to somebody. But when I go before my team and when I go before my people, I want to go in love and not fear. I have this little book. I'm going to read just a little bit of section out to you. It's one of my favorite books. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And there's a chapter in here on love, and I'm going to read it to close today. But if we could all just think about what am I doing today? What actions am I taking in my business? And am I motivated to do that by fear or love? So for so much of my life, I basically hid my story. I basically asked God, why? Why me? Why have I been given a life like this? Why did my dad drink too much? Why didn't I have the opportunities that other people had? Why? When I was, as soon as Steve and I got back into church and began to really seek out the Lord and began to really claim our faith back, about, 2 years after that, our house burned to the ground. A week before Christmas. And I remember, and our kids all got out and everybody was safe, but I remember sitting on the grass looking at the house burning down thinking, why? Why me? Why has my life always been so hard? And God taught me through the writing, through the struggle, that I was asking the wrong question. The wrong question is not why. The right question is not why. And for your business, and for your struggles, why is not the right question. The right question is who. Who is all this for? Why has my life been this way? I don't know. But I know this. The reason God put me here was for other people. Who is this for? This is for my children and my husband. It's for my neighbor. It's for the person who needs me to share oils. It's for the person who needs me to bake something because they're in the hospital. It's for the person who needs a kind word. It's what He's doing in our lives so that we can pour our lives out to other people. Sometimes we can do that just by being kind and compassionate. Sometimes we can do that with oils. Sometimes we can do that by sharing the income opportunity we've been given. The wrong question is why. The right question is who is this all for? This is for your healing. This is for my healing, and this is for the healing of our brothers and sisters that God's always bringing before us into our life. When you get weirded out and nervous about sharing, I don't even get that way anymore because God has done so much in my heart that I can't wait to share what He's done through these products, what He's done through this business, what He's done through the time freedom. I can go to Knoxville and sit all day with my aunt who's a widow because God has given me time freedom in this business. I can take care of a little 4-year-old boy who has no parents on the weekends because God has given me an amazing gift of income and time where then I can turn and give myself away to other people. I think we spend, or at least I have spent so much of my time and energy in the past, accumulating things for myself, awards, resources, money, whatever. And so much of the journey has taught me that this is not for me. This is for my neighbor. This is so I can turn and use myself and my life and my resources to bless my neighbor. So my question for you is this. What kind of a fire have you been rescued from? And who is it for? Maybe it's a fire of, paycheck to paycheck finances and money stress, and maybe God is rescuing you from that. Then go share it with somebody else. Maybe it's amazing, emotionally supportive oils that have helped you get yourself back and your life back. So maybe that's what you can share. Maybe He has rescued you from a marriage that was on the brink, and so you can share the hope that you found. Whatever we've been rescued from, the reason we've been rescued is for other people. And learning how to give that back with generosity and with passion, and by sharing our stories, and by not holding back, and by not pretending that we have everything all worked out and that it's all fine, but by really sharing from our hearts. I think so often, we're scared because we don't want to be rejected, and we have these insecurities, and we don't say anything, or we don't schedule that class, or we don't talk to the builder, or we don't, we live so much out of fear. God came to give us freedom. He came to rescue us, and the reason He has rescued us is so that we can lock arms with our sisters and brothers who need rescue and walk them toward home too. And it's been an amazing journey for me. I'm so thankful for the rank and the income. It's all amazing. But really, when I look at what He's really doing here, it's so much more than that. And learning how to communicate that to other people is really the key. Learning how to really share from our hearts the freedom that we have, that the products and the income and that all that has given us, learning to share that with generosity, learning to be, learning to hold our hands open and let Him give and take away whatever He gives and takes away. Let me tell you this really quick. I created a landing page. There's so many good resources I wanted to share with you. I created a landing page on my blog where I kind of go through this. So many things I wanted to share that I didn't really have time to share, but it's called, my blog is Life and Grace. So if you go to lifeandgraceblog.com/biz, B-I-Z. If you go there, I put a lot of links for you. The other thing that I was going to tell you that I think pushed us over to Diamond was we created a pop-up Facebook group. It was called a 10-day essential oil intensive. I know some of you joined the group. I basically created a temporary Facebook group. It lasted for 10 days. I did a live video each day. I created some pretty graphics that went along with it. I basically told my story. If you go to the landing page, I actually have a link to the Facebook group if you want to be added to it. We're through with it, and I'm going to do away with it, but it'll be open for a couple more days where you can see kind of what we did. We got hundreds of signups throughout our team from that group. It's basically like having somebody teach you about essential oils for 5 hours. So over the course of all those videos, we talked about how oils work and oils and emotions and my take on oils from a medical perspective and all of that. So we created this temporary Facebook group that all of our team could add their members to. And I think that is a great way to really teach people. The other thing that I love about having done that group, we basically approved anybody that wanted to be added. But what happened is that when people joined with us after being in that group, they were so well educated. Like they came into it knowing so much stuff already. And so that class was a huge blessing to our team. So if you want an idea of how to run one in your own group, go to that landing page and you'll see a link and we'll approve you to be added to that group temporarily. Like I said, we're taking everybody out of the group now. The reason I did it, only for 10 days is because if people think they have forever to watch a video, they're not going to watch it. And so, we basically said, look, you have 10 days to watch these videos and then we're taking the group down. So I think that sense of urgency really, really helped. That was a huge boost for our team at the end of March. So I list some other resources, and I want to finish with just a short reading from this book. If you don't have this book, it's amazing. This will kind of illustrate what I'm talking about when I say lead from a place of love. This is such a neat little book. This chapter is kind of amazing. You need to read the whole thing. But I will greet this day with love in my heart. For this is the greatest secret of success in all ventures. Muscle can split a shield and destroy life, but only the unseen power of love can open the hearts of men. I will remain no more than a peddler in the marketplace. I will make love my greatest weapon, and none on whom I call can defend against its force. My reasoning they may counter. My speech they may distrust. My apparel they may disapprove. My face they may reject. And even my bargains may cause them suspicion. But my love will melt all hearts like the sun, whose rays soften the coldest day. I will greet this day with love in my heart. And how will I do this? Will I look on all the things with love? Yes. I will love the sun, for it warms my bones. I will love the rain, for it cleanses my spirit. I will love the light, for it shows me the way. I will love the darkness, for it shows me the stars. I will welcome happiness, for it enlarges my heart. And I will endure sadness, for it opens my soul. I will acknowledge rewards, for they are my due. But I will welcome obstacles, for they are my challenge. I will greet this day with love in my heart. And how will I speak? I will laud my enemies, and they will become my friends. I will encourage my friends, and they will become my sisters. I will dig for reasons to applaud. Never will I scratch for reasons to gossip. When I am tempted to criticize, I will bite my tongue. When I am moved to praise, I will shout from the roofs. Is it not so that birds, the wind, the sea, and all of nature speaks with the music of praise for the Creator? Can I not speak with the same music to His children? Henceforth will I remember this secret, and it will change my life. I will greet this day with love in my heart. And how will I act? I will love all manner of men, for each has qualities to be admired. With love I will tear down the walls of suspicion, and I will hate which have built around their hearts, and in its place I will build bridges, so that my love may enter their souls. I will love the ambitious, for they inspire me. I will love the failures, for they teach me. I will love the kings, for they are but human, and I will love the meek, for they are divine. I will love the rich, for they are often lonely, and I will love the poor, for they are many. I love the young, for the faith they hold, and I will love the old for the wisdom they share. I love the beautiful for their eyes of sadness, and the ugly for their souls of peace. I will greet this day with love in my heart, for just as love is a weapon to open the hearts of men, love is also my shield to repulse the arrows of hate and the spears of anger. My shield will protect me in the marketplace and sustain me when I'm alone. It will uplift me in moments of despair and calm me in times of exaltation. It will become stronger and more protective with use until one day I can walk unencumbered among all manners of men. And when I do, my name will be raised high. I will greet this day with love in my heart. So, I hope you enjoyed that. That's from a little book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Greet the day with love. Share with your heart. I hope this has helped on your journey with Young Living. You're not stuck. You're in a season. Embrace it for what it is. Let God do the work He needs to do in your heart, and then He will move you forward. Love you guys.